Good morning, trading world. It is April 14th, 2020, and this is my pre market outlook. Starting with the NASDAQ, we'll get right into it. The levels to look for reactions off of today, we're going to start with resistance. King resistance is at 85.49. Queen resistance is at 84.88. Jack resistance is at 84.58. Levels of pertinence in between. You have 84.47, which is down here, so in this area, and then 84.98, which is up here in this area, right about there, and then 85.30, which is in this area. And then last but not least is 86.08, which is up here in this area. Starting with the resistance because the overall trend that I see today is to the upside, which doesn't mean we won't get any down action. We should get some pops down, but then we'll work our way probably back up. When it comes to support, the Jack support level is 84.15. Queen support is 83.80. King support is 83.26. Levels of pertinence in between, you have 83.97, which is around this area. And then you have 83.40, which is around this area. Then you have 83.34, which is very close, right there in that area. And then 82.96, which is all the way down here in this area. All right. That brings me, we're going to take a quick look, and I'm probably going to have to start doing levels for the ES again, trying to save time. But the ES is pretty much what drives the entire market. Knowing where the ES is going is to say you know where the entire market is going. It's the pretty much best track record, or track record to kind of see where things are going overall. Now, on the ES, something to look forward to. We have these levels that we've basically been pinging back and forth between. If you take a look, the ES, the overall market is kind of at a standstill, just pinging between two levels. Um, the first level down here is 27.31, and then there's a level up here at 28.11. And maybe we get a pop out to 28.18 and then maybe 28.42. But this area is pretty much where the ES is pinging and roaming back and forth to. And if you notice, the ES is pretty much running in place while the NASDAQ is actually gaining ground to the upside. And the reason is you have a few stocks in the NASDAQ that are pretty much headed to record highs, and the market cap on those uh, mega tech companies is so big that it can pretty much move, those few companies can pretty much move the NASDAQ and to some degree the ES. You have companies like Amazon, which is close to making the record high, Netflix, which is just flying. Uh, those companies, Google as well, those companies with the super huge market cap, um, it it is pretty much holding things together. Um, but one of the things that you have to realize, we'll go back to a daily chart. One of the important things to take a look at is volume. And as you can see, the volume is steadily dwindling and dwindling down. Something that I looked at yesterday, there was a position that I was trying to get on yesterday, and I mean, it just flipped, flopped all around the entry price, hit the entry price dead on, but it wouldn't let me in. I finally got filled maybe 4 hours into the day or 4 hours later after I put the position on. And one of the reasons being that it did not take is because liquidity. What's going on right now, as we just kind of drift up, because that's pretty much what we're doing. There's no real volume or uh, push to the upside. There's a liquidity issue where there's not a lot going on out there, but because of the dynamic hedging, um, we're just kind of in this drift, and there's not enough activity to do anything of note. So it doesn't take a whole lot of activity to push us up, because we're just in this kind of motionless drift or volumeless drift. And the more that we drift up, the more that the big hedge funds have to hedge, which means buy a little more to kind of even out positions. And that little bit of activity there is enough to shoot us up for moves like this. But on the other hand, let's go to the daily here. With volume definitely dwindling, we're coming into earnings season. The financials are going to start to disclose earnings. And I heard a lot of arguments yesterday on CNBC about value, and this is the best time or best value stocks have been, the cheapest value stocks have been in a long time. And uh, as far as price earnings ratio, this is the best. But through all those arguments that I heard and all these cases for us to go to the upside based on value, based on price. But the thing that really, really bothers me is that they talked about PE ratios, but somebody please tell me, how do they know the E? Yes, we know price, but how are we going to know earnings? A lot of companies are pushing earnings back or being clouded, and the SEC is giving companies permission to push back or just avoid disclosing earnings, period, during this time. So if we don't know earnings, how are you going to make a case for a particular stock fundamentally? It makes no sense to me. So with all this cloudiness and people trying to make cases for the upside, they leave out one huge caveat to me, and that's earnings. Because without the earnings, there's no way to calculate price on a fundamental basis or calculate multiples. It's just no way to do it. And I haven't heard that talked about very much. So, again, this is my case for why I'm stacking my chips to the downside of the table. Sooner or later, they're going to realize we're blind. We're flying through this blind. We're not through this yet. There's no end in sight. There's no The biggest thing that would help right now would be a vaccine or some type of cure for the coronavirus. Yes, there's been progress, but no one knows when that end will be in sight. So, with that and the fact that there's no way to figure out earnings right now, I don't see a reason for us to fly back up. It makes no sense to me. So, I do see us continuing this little pop to the upside a little more. I will try to cycle out of some of my positions. Some of my positions are actually still in the green or even from what I put in on as far as options. And if we get up a little further, I definitely will be trying to cycle out and reposition higher up so that I can take advantage of the drop. But the most important thing to me is to be in positions because when this thing happens, when we decide to break, whether it's higher, whether it's lower, wherever, there will be a huge gap that will take everybody by somewhat surprise. We're probably going to wake up and we're going to be either up 30 or 40 or down 30 or 40 points on the ES. So that's why it's so important to me to be in a position overnight. And I'll take the risk of things, firing up on me because I have, all the positions that I have on are pretty much risk defined. So I'm comfortable with what I have out there to risk. But to me, it's just important to be in the position because when it happens, it will, like I say, we'll wake up overnight and there'll be a huge gap. So that is my perspective. Things to look out for today. J.P. Morgan Chase. They're going to pretty much set the tone for earnings this morning, and Jamie Dimon will probably bring us back to reality with some things that he says, and look for the market to kind of react off of him. So uh, that's what I'm looking forward to today. Uh, as always, good luck. Wishing you profitable trading, and always have your risk defined and be very careful. Be safe. Have a great trading day.